The summer of 1986 stretched ahead like a promise. Sarah Martinez, 12 years old, had marked every day on her calendar, counting down to the cross-country road trip with her father, Miguel. Phoenix to Vermont. Just the two of them in his burgundy Mustang. Father-daughter time that would create memories to last forever. Instead, it became a nightmare that would consume an entire family for 38 years. June 15, 1986. Security cameras at a Flagstaff gas station captured them for the last time, Sarah laughing as Miguel filled the tank, both blissfully unaware they had less than 48 hours left in the world as they knew it. But here's where everything goes wrong. Miguel never told anyone their exact route. His wife Carmen assumed Interstate 40 East, the logical choice. But phone records discovered years later revealed Miguel had been making mysterious calls to Colorado in the weeks before they left. A number that, when traced, led nowhere. An address that didn't exist. The first 72 hours crawled by in agony. Carmen Martinez paced her Phoenix living room, calling every hotel, every rest stop, every police station along what she believed was their path. Her mother in Vermont sat by the phone, staring at the empty driveway, willing that burgundy Mustang to appear. When they found the car 5 days later, it wasn't where anyone expected. The Mustang sat abandoned near the Colorado-Utah border, hundreds of miles from any logical route to Vermont, doors unlocked. Sarah's stuffed rabbit untouched on the back seat. Miguel's wallet in the glove compartment, cash and credit cards intact. Miguel and Sarah Martinez had simply vanished. Detective Ray Hoffman, now retired, still remembers the chill that crawled up his spine when he first examined that car. In 30 years of police work, he recalls, I'd never seen a scene so clean, too clean, like they'd stepped out for a moment and planned to come right back. The investigation turned up nothing but questions. No signs of struggle, no mechanical failure. Enough gas to drive another 100 miles. Most unsettling of all, Sarah's diary, which her mother swore she took everywhere, was missing. But what truly baffled investigators was the car's interior. Every surface had been wiped down, methodically, completely. Not a single fingerprint recovered, not even from Miguel or Sarah themselves. Someone had cleaned that car after it was abandoned, but left everything else perfectly in place. Months became years, years became decades. Carmen Martinez never stopped searching, never stopped hoping. Private investigators, search parties, television appearances. But Miguel and Sarah Martinez seemed erased from existence. The theories multiplied in the darkness. Had Miguel staged their disappearance? Was he running from something or someone? Had they encountered a stranger's violence? Or had they simply gotten lost in the vast Colorado wilderness and met with some tragic accident? Then, in 2003, 17 years after their disappearance, a hiker made a discovery that would rip open the case and shatter everything everyone thought they knew. Deep in the Colorado Rockies, nearly 40 miles from the abandoned car, the hiker found what appeared to be remnants of an old campsite. Hidden beneath years of fallen leaves and mountain debris were fragments of clothing that DNA testing would later confirm belonged to Sarah Martinez. But here's what made investigators' blood freeze. The clothing wasn't torn, wasn't weathered by years of mountain exposure. The fragments appeared to have been deliberately buried, carefully wrapped in plastic, and marked with small stones arranged in patterns that screamed human intention. Someone wanted these items found. But why wait 17 years? And where were Miguel and Sarah? The discovery triggered a massive search operation. Hundreds of volunteers scoured the mountainous terrain. Search dogs, ground-penetrating radar. For weeks, the mountains echoed with voices calling their names, hoping against hope for answers. What they found would haunt the Martinez family for another 20 years. Scattered throughout a 5-mile radius, investigators discovered more buried items. Miguel's reading glasses, Sarah's school backpack, a gas station receipt dated June 17, 1986, 2 days after they vanished. Each item carefully wrapped, deliberately placed, marked with the same mysterious stone patterns. But the most chilling discovery came when forensic experts examined the plastic wrapping. The plastic bags weren't from the 1982. They were modern, manufactured no earlier than the late 1990s. Someone had been returning to these burial sites for over a decade, replacing the wrapping, maintaining these grim markers. As 2024 dawned, Carmen Martinez was 73 years old. Her hair had gone white, her face carved with decades of grief and unanswered questions. She had never remarried, never stopped hoping that someday she would learn the truth. Then, on a cold February morning that would change everything, her phone rang. "Mrs. Martinez? This is Detective Lisa Chen with Colorado State Police. We need you to come to Colorado immediately. We've found something." What Detective Chen had discovered would obliterate everything Carmen thought she knew about her husband and daughter's disappearance, and reveal a truth so devastating it would leave everyone speechless. A construction crew working on a new mountain road had unearthed something buried for nearly 4 decades. Not clothing or personal effects, but something infinitely more significant. A metal box, deliberately buried and preserved, containing dozens of photographs and a letter written in Miguel Martinez's unmistakable handwriting. But this wasn't just any letter. It was a confession that would destroy everything Carmen believed about that summer in 1986. The letter, dated June 18, 1986, revealed that their road trip had never been about visiting Sarah's grandmother. Miguel had been running from men who had threatened his family, running from debts that could destroy them, running from a life that had spiraled completely out of control. "My dearest Carmen," the letter began in Miguel's shaking handwriting. "By the time you read this, Sarah and I will be gone. Not because we wanted to leave you, but because staying would have put you in mortal danger. The men who came to our house that night in May, they made crystal clear what would happen if I didn't pay what I owed them." But the letter contained an even more shattering revelation. Miguel had been working secretly with federal authorities, gathering evidence against a drug trafficking organization that had been using his construction company as a front for their operations. The road trip was supposed to be their escape route to a new life in witness protection. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. The photographs in that buried box told the story of their final days. Miguel and Sarah at a Colorado diner, both looking nervous, constantly watching the windows. Sarah sleeping in the back seat while Miguel stood guard outside. Father and daughter hiking mountain trails. Miguel teaching his daughter to identify trees and wildlife, trying to make their last moments together feel normal. But the final photograph was different. Taken at what appeared to be the same remote location where their car would later be found, it showed Miguel and Sarah standing with 2 other people whose faces had been carefully, methodically scratched out. On the back of this photograph, in Miguel's increasingly desperate handwriting, were 4 words that would haunt Carmen Martinez forever. "They found us first." The investigation that followed uncovered a conspiracy reaching deeper than anyone had imagined. Those mysterious phone calls Miguel had been making weren't to criminals, they were to his FBI handler, Agent Patricia Voss, who had sworn to keep his family safe if he continued gathering evidence against the trafficking ring. But Agent Voss had been compromised. The very criminals Miguel was gathering evidence against had learned of his cooperation and used his FBI contact to track him down like prey. What happened next, according to sealed federal documents finally released in 2024, was a tragedy of errors that cost 2 innocent lives and covered up a massive failure in federal law enforcement. On June 17, 1986, Miguel Martinez made his final phone call to Agent Voss. Phone records show the conversation lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. According to the FBI's internal investigation, Miguel told his handler they were being followed and desperately requested immediate extraction. Agent Voss told him to proceed to the predetermined meeting point in the Colorado mountains and wait. She promised that within 24 hours, he and Sarah would be safely relocated with new identities, new lives. The backup never came. Instead, at 3:47 a.m. on June 18th, the trafficking organization's enforcers reached the meeting point first. What they found was Miguel Martinez and his 12-year-old daughter, alone and defenseless in the Colorado wilderness. Miguel's final letter entries, written in increasingly shaky handwriting as dawn approached on June 18th, paint a picture of a father's desperate last hours. "Sarah is sleeping in the car. She doesn't know what's happening, and I pray to God she never has to understand. I can see headlights in the distance now, coming up the mountain road. I don't think they're federal agents. Carmen, if you're reading this, know that I loved you both more than life itself. Know that I tried to do the right thing. Know that Sarah was brave until the very end." The letter ends abruptly, mid-sentence. According to the federal documents, Agent Voss reported Miguel and Sarah as relocated and secure in her official files. For 38 years, the FBI maintained the fiction that Miguel Martinez and his daughter were living safely under assumed identities somewhere in America. In reality, Agent Voss had been receiving payments from the very criminal organization Miguel was investigating. She had sold out a father and daughter for $30,000 and a promise that her own corruption would remain buried forever. The systematic burial and maintenance of Miguel and Sarah's belongings over the decades? That was Agent Voss's twisted form of memorial, her way of memorializing the lives she had betrayed while keeping their fate hidden from the world. In March 2024, Patricia Voss, now 71 and living in retirement in Florida, was arrested and charged with conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and accessory to murder. During her interrogation, she finally revealed the location where Miguel and Sarah Martinez had been buried 38 years earlier. On a crisp April morning in 2024, Carmen Martinez stood on a Colorado mountainside as forensic teams carefully exhumed the remains of her husband and daughter. After nearly 4 decades of not knowing, she finally had her devastating answer. Miguel and Sarah Martinez had died together on June 18, 1986, victims of a system that failed to protect them and corruption that sacrificed their lives for money. Carmen Martinez held her first and final funeral for her husband and daughter on a sunny Saturday in May 2024. Hundreds attended, family who had never stopped hoping, investigators who had never stopped searching, strangers who had followed the story and felt connected to their decades-long ordeal. During her eulogy, Carmen spoke words that resonated far beyond that small church. Miguel and Sarah didn't die because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They died because people sworn to protect them chose money over human life. They died because corruption was more valuable to some people than the life of a 12-year-old girl and her father who was trying to do the right thing. The Martinez case exposes critical failures in federal law enforcement and witness protection systems that persist today. When Miguel Martinez agreed to cooperate with authorities in 1986, he believed he was entering a secure system designed to protect informants and their families. Instead, he encountered a corrupted network, where his safety was compromised from within the very agency meant to protect him. This tragedy illuminates several crucial issues. First, the catastrophic vulnerability of witness protection programs to internal corruption. When handlers can be bought, entire families pay with their lives. Second, the desperate need for oversight and accountability in federal operations. Agent Voss operated with minimal supervision for decades, enabling her to maintain her deadly deception. Third, the devastating generational impact on families when justice systems fail, as evidenced by Carmen Martinez's 38-year ordeal of false hope and manufactured lies. The investigation also demonstrates how modern forensic science can finally deliver justice in cold cases. Advanced DNA analysis, improved database systems, and sophisticated investigative techniques made it possible to piece together what happened in 1986. The case has led to comprehensive reforms in FBI witness protection protocols, including mandatory multiple handler systems, regular psychological evaluations for agents, and improved family communication procedures designed to prevent future tragedies. Perhaps most importantly, the Martinez case reveals how institutional corruption doesn't just destroy immediate victims. It creates ripple effects that devastate families and communities for generations. Carmen Martinez didn't just lose her husband and daughter. She lost 38 years of her life to uncertainty, false hope, and manufactured lies perpetrated by the very people who swore to protect her family. Today, new federal legislation requires quarterly reviews of all witness protection cases and mandates that families receive regular, verifiable updates about their loved one's status. The Martinez Protocol ensures that no family will again wait decades for answers that federal agents already possess, and no corrupt agent can again maintain deadly deceptions for decades while innocent families suffer in ignorance.